You're having Thirsty Thursday with your pals the other day.
Welcome to the Produce Stand. It isn't Thirsty Thursday, it is Monday. A podcast paying tribute to the great Canadian show Letterkenny. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are many other podcasts about Letterkenny out there, but this one is about to get some serious Overwatch street cred. I'm Al, your host, and joining me in the room, as always, is the lovely Tanya, and online we have Squirrely Matt, the vibrant Victor, and joining us tonight is our special guest. She's known on Twitch as OW Grandma, where she hosts and streams herself making art, playing Overwatch, and hanging out with her pet hedgehog Sable. According to IMDb, she worked in the art department for films like High Chicago and A Little Bit Zombie. And of course, she's the art director on Letterkenny. Please join me in making some noise for Dani Ellis.
Wondrous.
Oh my
Hello.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Wait. Oh my god.
What? No dad noises? Come on.
No, the dad noises come from Victor, Matt, and myself.
There we go.
Welcome to the Produce Stand, Dani.
Thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here.
All right. So where are you speaking to us from?
I'm in Sudbury, Ontario.
Sudbury. So you live where you work. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you're from originally?
I was born in Sault Ste. Marie, but I've pretty much been here since I was 4. So more or less born and raised.
Very nice. How's the weather up there right now?
Cold today, but it's been really mild winter, all considering.
Yeah. Well, last week's been pretty mild, but today got pretty blustery. Dani, I mean, you're obviously a very talented artist, and we're going to get to Letterkenny, but let's start kind of, let's get you there. How did you get into graphic design for movies and television?
And that's kind of a funny story too, because they didn't tell me in college that this was even an option. I just kind of like fell into it because Matt Ellis, no relation, the production designer on Letterkenny. He's my brother-in-law. He's been in film for a very long time. He went to school for film, and he's pretty much worked in every department in art department. Mm-hmm. And he got me my first gig on High Chicago, just kind of by word of mouth. So that was kind of getting my foot in the door. And I really loved it because there were just so many different things that you don't get to make. Mm-hmm. Working a traditional graphic design job. Like I've made cereal boxes, I've made countless beer labels, posters, everything. Like it's just every day is a new thing, which is great for me because I get bored really easily. So
yeah, that's amazing. So you mentioned beer labels. So are you the one who designed Puppers?
Yes. So that was definitely a Matt Ellis idea. Uh-huh. And then it's usually like I help bring it to life kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't originally called Puppers. Mm-hmm. So in film, we have to run everything by legal, especially in terms of graphics and names,
sure, just
to make sure it's not similar to anything else out there and we're not going to get sued. So the original name for Puppers was supposed to be Labrador, which is why the label is a beautiful golden lab.
Right.
And that didn't clear legal. So me and Matt were sitting there one day and just being like, man, what are we gonna call this beer? And we're throwing names back and forth. Usually like it's just a big brainstorming session. And I was just like, what about Puppers? Like, like the memes. And he's like, oh my God, crushing Puppers. He's like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we pitched it to the team and everybody liked it, and then it cleared legal. So
that's interesting. So you guys pitched it first before it appeared on the show.
Yeah. So you can see in season 1 that they usually just peeled off the beer labels. Mm-hmm. So there weren't really any beer labels in season 1. Right. And then season 2, Puppers happened.
And I feel like in season 1 they were drinking Gus and Brew, and they didn't really mention Puppers.
No, exactly.
No. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I mean, we have a burgeoning beer master on on the crew here. Matt's just started with the home brewing, so you may have a potential
falling down that rabbit hole.
you may have a potential client for label art one of these days.
I've got my name in the backwards already. I'm just gonna work on the branding once I figured out how to make beer.
There's no caricature of your
Work
face.
backwards.
Yeah,
Right.
Starting with
Branding first and then build your product, right?
Yeah, it can be shit, but if you have a good enough brand, you might be able to sell some.
I mean, that's what we did for Puppers, so I mean, it could work.
That's true. Yeah, and so what's the name of the brewery that makes or that made Puppers?
Stack Brewery.
Stack Brewery. They've stopped brewing it, haven't they?
I mean, they're kind of a small batch deal anyways. I'm surprised that they made it as long as they did. But that was really that was wild to me because I mean, I make fake stuff all the time,
right.
But to see something like a made up beer become an actual beer was a little bit insane.
Well, and not to get too inside baseball, but because it became an actual beer, did you get any kind of different, is there like a different kind of royalty that you get from that? Or is it just like a one shot deal?
No, because we get paid on the job. So
yeah, I see. Well, so how did you get on to Letterkenny then? I mean, you say your brother-in-law was in the art department there. Is that was that your way in or?
So he wasn't even on. I don't think he was on season 1 either. Mm-hmm. At least not in the art department. But I guess the original production designer and first assistant art director both left the show from season 1. Matt was brought in as a production designer. He must have been on season 1, just not maybe doing that specifically. And I was actually out of film for a few years, working a regular job. And he just calls me up one day and was like, Dani, he's like, I've got a show. He's like, you really want to be on this show? He's like, I know you're not, in any of the film unions or anything, but we're going to get you in the union and you're going to work on this show. I'm like, okay, I guess I trust you.
Oh yeah.
Just do it, right?
Twist your rubber arm. So, but before that you did those 2 movies, but this is kind of your first TV show that you worked on.
That's not true. Actually, I worked in French television for a couple years as well.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Like what shows there?
There was one, Les Bleus de Renville was one of them. And one was called Saint Nickel, which was an interesting one. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you've seen TFO or anything like that. But.
I mean, I used to, when it was on channel 12 and we only had 13 channels. Yes. I would have been forced to watch, especially if there were cartoons on TFO, but nowhere else. That's probably where I would have watched French TV.
Amazing.
Dani, has it been similar roles on kind of these various productions, or has it been kind of variously progressing?
I've pretty much only been graphics on most of the shows, aside from being like a trainee a few times.
Mm-hmm.
So just let us in a little bit in terms of like an example of a project that you're working on. Like, is that still graphics? Is that kind of things that you see in the backgrounds? Is it actual shots? Like, what's involved?
For me, usually it's just anything that needs to be kind of made. So it could be anything from labels, any of the logos for the hockey teams, if we're talking Letterkenny, any signage, even just paper props. Like if you've ever worked on a cop show, you have to make so much paperwork. It's ridiculous. Like you're there late putting together like crime files and photographs and just like handwriting stuff. And it can be very multi-layered. It's very, very cool, but also very, very like time consuming sometimes.
Because it's all the small details, right? The little things that it catch your eye, but you don't always realize you're looking at it. And then you're like, oh, that's such a small, important part of that scene that's there, right?
For sure. And like someone had to make that. Like I'm always, when I watch TV now, it's totally different because I'm just like, oh man, they clearly just slapped a label on this to like hide a logo that they didn't want to make or didn't realize they had to make.
That's fun.
And in general, like I have to quick guess. So I know there's like you mentioned legals, and when it comes to art and graphics, I'm sure there's this fine line and times where you have to either you have full freedom to create whatever you want, or potentially does it layer in sponsorships at time, and are those target placed as well within scenes? Like, how does that whole dynamic work when you're creating things?
It's interesting too, because sometimes in the script it will mention something that is like specifically a brand.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have to make like connections with people to try and either get permission, or if we can't get permission, then we realize like, we might have to do something else there. Like,
right.
Mentioning Instagram, Facebook, usually social media is extremely difficult to get permission for. So you have to like budget, or you have to not even show it at all, because they have so many strict rules about how it needs to look that it's almost just not worth it.
Oh, I almost got excited there but you said you didn't work on season 1, so you wouldn't have designed Fart Book then.
No, I had no hand in Fart Book. Unfortunately.
Oh, it's too bad. So, I mean, you mentioned like some of the stuff that you might not normally assume needs design work, but I mean, I brought this up to you on your stream yesterday, but one of the scenes that come to mind where you could absolutely see the hand of graphic designer or art director is that cold open for the Easter episode. I mean, and you'd mentioned that, that was, you guys kind of flexed on that one. So you want to like talk about a scene like that, and what part of that scene are you involved in?
Like specifically the Easter episode, or just any of those?
That cold open where it's Derry and he's painting the eggs, but he's got like a little notebook and there's like notes scribbled in it. I mean, I'm sure you guys had a lot of fun like putting that together. Right. And
for sure.
I don't know how much say you have in the composition of the shots or anything. I mean, it was just a very different looking scene compared to anything else we've seen on Letterkenny. How much of that is director? How much of that is like the art department working with the director?
I would say, I mean, Jacob definitely dictates, how shots look and how he wants it to look. Mm-hmm. And I think we all kind of had this idea that was supposed to be slightly creepy. Right. So it was definitely, everyone was meant to like make it like the nails holding the little egg, like Dustin and props had a lot of fun making that. And, we're all kind of working in a similar space. So we have that communication back and forth where, we've riffed off each other's ideas, which is really nice. Mm-hmm. And like the notes, the creepy notes, like, I think we had the training at the time, like redo them several times because they looked too neat at first. So we're like, no, like do it with your left hand or like try and draw it in a mirror, like something to make it look less like coherent, because you're not really supposed to be able to understand it. It's really, really fun. What
sort of direction do you get from Jacob for that? He's like, I need a creepy intro scene. And Derry's going to be painting Easter eggs and that's it. And do you guys kind of run with that, or what kind of detail do you get from him?
It depends. Like we usually go through like as a group, the entire scripts right at the start. Right. And we go through any important details, any questions. And sometimes they can be really, really specific with requests. And sometimes it's, really open and they just kind of give you a general idea. But there's a lot of trust, especially, it's a pretty tight-knit group. We've been working together several years now. So I would say there's a lot of trust, which is pretty awesome to just like have that creative freedom. And we pitch, ideas to them for names and things all the time. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, that sounds. I mean, we talked to Patrick Plywood and even K Trev, and they both kind of had that same vibe as well. That there really is. I mean, there's clearly a direction of the show, but there's that creative freedom and that this cohesiveness of the group that everyone says trust, and it's great to hear that same message is coming across even down to the art department. It's really a refreshing feeling because it comes through in the show.
And that's a great feeling as well. Like just especially because the fan base is, I won't say it's like a cult following, but sometimes just like seeing people.
Yeah, it's a fair statement.
Yeah, it's a cult following for sure.
Just see people notice the little details that like you throw in, but you don't ever expect anyone to see because like whatever. but like they do see it. Like sometimes it's just like, oh my God, this one thing.
So with that, here's a good question for you. Are there any Dani Ellis signature things that you do that, like, if we saw that, we go, that was Danny's work right there? Or do you kind of just evolve? Like, I know I think of the animation world, and they have that. What is that? Classroom A113.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm talking about? But I mean, is there something like that that's your sort of trademark, or maybe there isn't, but is there things you try to do specifically that could make little nods to things?
I mean, we try not to, I guess, because we don't want to like bring people out of the world. I mean, as immersed as you can be in a show like Letterkenny. I don't know. We try and do different stuff all the time while, you know, sticking with kind of the overall theme. Just that like layered humor that doesn't necessarily hit you over the head with it. It just kind of exists and is funny that way.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So I don't know. For me, it's just, I'm an illustrator, so I insert a lot of illustration into my designs. You know, Misfire, a lot of the skid artwork. I think the skid artwork is some of my favorite stuff to do. Yeah. Because we flex on it. We try and make it different every single season. Like, you know, Roald is evolving, and you know, his art is different every season depending on what he's going through. And thinking of that as fun. Like, that's not written into the script. We're just kind of like, what's Roald's headspace like this season, and you know, what kind of crazy art can we make with that? Like, so,
there was a nice big drawing of Roald on the wall in the last episode we watched, and I feel like that looks like you may have drawn something like that. It's in their kind of hideout, and what's the episode? The one where Glenn is it the Easter episode where Glenn shows up because he's doing his passion play, and he and Roald have a moment, and behind Roald there's like a big kind of life-size drawing of him on the wall or something like that. Do you have anything to do with that one?
Is that the painting?
Yeah,
the really that was definitely a, like, we had some extra time that block, and Matt was just like, you know what? Here's a canvas. I want you to make some kind of art that Roald made. And I was just like, all right, how about some kind of like Pablo Picasso style craziness? And he was like, cool, do it.
Nice.
And I spent an entire afternoon doing that. And it was like, no one on set knew we were doing this. It just kind of showed up. And I wish I had been there to see Evan's face, because I heard that he loved it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was really good. And like, just seeing it in that shot after was awesome.
Yeah. So even on that same thought, I mean, it sounds like that one was pretty exciting, but do you have any like moments or additions that you've given to the show that you're like particularly proud of, or even excited when you saw them, or just to have been a part of that particular scene or moment?
Oh, there's so many. It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick. I was really excited about Indian Energy this season. I know we're not quite like talking about.
Oh, that brand. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they haven't gone ahead. I'm the only one who's watched season 9. So
it's all good. We'll look forward to it.
But so
there's so many seasons between 9 and where we are now. So whatever you say, we'll forget by then.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. But,
and our listeners have already watched the show like 10 times over, so they'll be excited no matter what you say.
Yeah,
they're like, give us more. We need more.
Right.
Yeah. I know the brand you're talking about, that energy drink, and so you created that. You had a hand in creating that one.
Yeah. So that was based on Brodude, and then.
That's pretty cool. Go ahead, Victor.
I was just gonna. I want to make sure we have a chance a little bit to learn about kind of your artistic journey, if you will. I've been perusing some of your art on the ArtStation site, and it's just super incredible, inspiring. I've got a daughter who's 19, and she's an aspiring artist and trying to figure out what she wants to do with the rest of her life. She finished 1 year of OCAD, and obviously she's on pause right now and just trying to figure out, what do I want to be? Do I want to be an artist? Do I want to be a teacher? Do I want to be, what the heck do I want to be? And wondering, like, if you could kind of give us a bit of a background to, what was your passion before school, how you decided to go to school, and then afterwards, how you figured out what you wanted to be when you grew up?
That's a really, really great question. And it's a big question too, because I was really into drawing comics and a painting when I was in high school. And I went to a really art specific high school. It was a public high school, Sudbury Secondary School. And the last year they allowed us to I was in an independent art program, and they let us build our own curriculum, which was really fun. And I was actually supposed to go to York University for fine arts, but I chickened out. I bailed because I was really scared, of living in Toronto, because big, scary city. But two, I was scared it was going to kill my passion for making stuff that I like to make, because I'd seen it happen to a lot of my friends who had gone to art school.
Yeah.
So I ended up writing a big essay to my parents being like, I don't want to go, and this is why. And I'm going to go take graphic design because it'll be more like real world knowledge.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I actually took to it really well, because it I don't know, it just combined a lot of the skills that I already had, and gave me some real life kind of experiences of like how I could apply my art in a marketable way. And it turns out I don't feel particularly good at the, stereotypical corporate design. So I kind of lucked out in my life path that I discovered that this is film is so big up here in the North right now. Like there's so many different productions, and it's even bigger now because like COVID isn't as hot up here. So they're not filming as much in Toronto. They're coming up here because it's a lot safer.
Right.
Right. So there's a lot of work, and I get pinged, I'll get pinged by like 5 different shows when I'm already working on one. So there's definitely room for this kind of thing, and you would have more space to do really cool stuff and illustration and, like I said, things you wouldn't normally get to do in this line of work. So would recommend if you don't mind working hard. It's really, really rewarding.
Yeah. I mean, it's fantastic stuff. I mean, and I've heard that a lot, kind of Victor touched on, we touched on there, Danny, around, the passion and don't want to blow the creativity out of you. But I mean, from your perspective, staying on that same artistic topic, where's your, I mean, you do the amazing work in Letterkenny, but you obviously do lots of other things. So what is your real passion? What are the things that you really find your happy place in artistically?
I think it's people. Like I really like doing, especially when I do commissions, doing portraits of people and just like seeing their reaction to my usual portrait style is sort of like I take people and kind of like superheroize them in a way. Like I take some aspect of their personality and I just crank it up to 11 and express that to them. And usually I'll pitch an idea and they'll usually go for it. And we just go, and it's really fun. Awesome.
So season 10 is going to be shooting soon from everything Jacob told us. Do you already have, scripts? I'm not asking you to divulge any company secrets, but do you already have kind of like marching orders or any kind of assignments to prepare for season 10?
Not usually. Nope. You just show up and hit the ground running.
So there's no pre-work.
You need.
No pre-work. You start when everyone else starts.
Yep.
Interesting.
I mean, people start at different times, but yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned your art department, your team, your tight-knit team. You want to shout any of them out? How big is the team for Letterkenny?
It's pretty big, and it depends on there's a lot of the office people, and then like all of the crew. So there's so many people. Like I don't know if I'd be able to shout them all out.
I don't want you to usually upset anybody for leaving them out either.
No, I don't want anyone to feel left out.
General love.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, shout out to Matt Ellis. He's our fearless leader in the art department, and he is just the best at giving enough direction that we know what we're doing, but trusting us enough to do it. And that's been really great. So he's really good at inspiring us at the right times and being really reasonable. And if we have an idea of how something could work better or be less complicated, he's usually down to give us an even better idea. So that's pretty awesome. Some of the art trainees I've worked with, Ruby Gibson and Sabine, have both been really great. They produce great work, and no complaints here. So
Cool.
yeah.
I think I know the answer to this, but who do you work more with, Jacob or Jared? I mean, it's Jared's created the show, but Jacob's the director, so I imagine that he's the one who's more in contact with the art department.
Actually, no. Usually, I'm sending all my designs to Jared.
Really? So he's very hands on when it comes to even the look of the show.
Oh, for sure. And there are certain things that, especially I think the hockey teams are really close to his heart. So,
right. Well, that makes sense.
He's pretty particular about his hockey stuff. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, everything runs by that guy.
And what is that dynamic around? I mean, you keep mentioning The Office, and I think a lot of people don't ever fully click that there's a full background operation going on with productions of any size. And I know when I think Al, you posted something and you said you were on site or on set that day for the sashimi's episode, but how often do you get the opportunity to be on set, and what is that like? Yeah, just like how often, and what is that like?
So it's always really exciting when I get to go to set. Sometimes I'll go if I know I have like time, which is rare, but it happens. And sometimes you just want to go see a particular set because it's different or exciting. Or sometimes there's something I need to do there. Like sometimes it's photos. Sometimes it's like the gym has that chalkboard that we usually fill out with little drawings. That's always fun.
I'm thinking of the one with
the Beautiful Mind one. Yeah.
Yes, the Beautiful Mind one.
Yeah.
That was a really fun day. That was an extremely entertaining day to be on set.
I bet.
And of course, the giant penis as well, which was on the skit.
Did you really need an art department to draw a giant penis on the map, though? I think that was just that was probably just Tyler.
Yeah, no, that was all Tyler. Yeah, Tyler gets mad props for that one.
The giant penis that Tanya managed to not
that one
notice.
Somehow.
And I think on the Beautiful Mind chalk drawing, like we obviously planned it out before we went there and just kind of drew it really quickly in about 5 to 10 minutes. But there was a little drawing of shores. Well, there's a little drawing of like a cake equals like a round person. And I think it was I can't remember if it was Hersey or someone. One of the two definitely drew Shoresy equals fat inside that. Like I think he asked us ahead of time if he could do it. We're like, yeah, man, go for it.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So what are some of your favorite episodes or scenes from Letterkenny? You're obviously a fan of the show, I hope.
I mean, I would say. And that's a tough one because there are just so many good ones. Oh man, what season are you guys watching?
So we're on
right
4, but you can go ahead and name something beyond. We don't expect you to remember exactly.
Yeah. Like I said, our average listeners watch the show 7 times.
Yeah.
So. We're about to start season 5.
I would say Lace Hicks is like one of my favorite episodes.
Oh, you've just become
a lot.
Thank you.
Matt's favorite person. That's
excellent. Yes.
You're the third person to validate me on this one.
So that's a good. So whose idea was it?
But that's biased. She worked on those French shows. So.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Whose idea was it to make the French Hicks wear blue? Like, was that somebody's definite idea, or was it like, did Jacob or Jared already have that in mind?
I mean, like both of them live, I think, in Montreal, so they're probably pretty close to French culture in a lot of ways. So I'm sure it was a combined idea because Ginger is pretty good. She's our costume designer. Ginger is really good at research and picking out those little details. Like it's on, like the thought she puts into clothing alone is just like mind-boggling to me. She's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's interesting because Wayne's got a checkered shirt for every occasion. He wears green checkers for St. Patty's Day and red checkers for, I guess, Christmas and so on and so forth. So that's all. I mean, you guys put a lot of thought into that, right?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that Wayne has over like 100 unique flannels at this point. Probably close to 200 at this point. I'm not entirely sure, but like even the season when Riley and Jonesy are like broken up because Katie's dating one of them.
Yeah.
And Ginger just had them dress in like the most somber, like toned down colors compared to their usual wardrobe because they were sad. I was like, I hope somebody notices that. And then when they're back together, they're back in their like bright, colorful clothing. I just think that's so great.
Yeah, no, it sets a tone, even if it's kind of subliminal. It's still important to do. What are your favorite characters? Who are your favorite? I know you work with everyone, so you don't want to favorite anybody, but is there any?
Well, you're not asking favorite actor.
That's favorite, right. Yeah.
So you're asking favorite character.
Yeah.
So I think you phrased this wrong. I think the way to phrase it is, who is your favorite character and why is it Tanis?
All right, now you're my favorite. All right, good. She seems to be everyone's favorite.
What's not to love about Tanis? She's just the whole package. Just such a powerful character. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say enough good things about Tanis.
I heard somebody wrote somewhere that there should be a spin-off. Probably Awesome probably said that there should be a Tanis spin-off show.
Oh, I'd be 100% down for a Tanis spin-off show. That would be amazing.
Yeah, and that's why Tanya and I both weren't crazy about that episode where Gay, the girl that was with the skids, where she took a power trip on Tanis there and on the episode.
Shook her up a little bit. Yeah. That was actually, interesting because, you don't see Tanis shaken very often.
Yeah.
I really liked that scene because it showed that Gay isn't somebody to be trifled with because she was able to go toe to toe with Tanis. I thought that said more about Gay and less about Tanis. But
anyway. Yeah, but then she was also scared of her parents. I don't know.
Yeah, well, okay.
That was interesting.
There's layers there for sure.
Yeah, it's an onion. It's an onion, Victor. It's an onion.
Yeah. Could we take a side step again? Your art is just fascinating. So I'm just kind of interested in. Is it typically, do you go digital? Do you do kind of traditional with pens and whatnot, and just kind of take us into your world a little bit of what, where your passion is and, what you're experimenting with now even.
For sure. I'd say like I used to be hardcore, like I would do everything sketches before I would digitize it. And I still do that for some things. Like there are some things that just like nothing beats the texture of a pencil and paper and just some of that energy that you can get from being really sketchy. But I do primarily do a lot of my painting in digital format, either Photoshop or I've recently discovered Procreate. And I say this as someone who hates Apple products usually, but Procreate on the iPad is bomb. And it's one of those things that actually mimics the pencil close enough for me that I find it really fun to sketch in that program.
Interesting.
Oh,
but
wow.
I thought you're one of the few graphic artists I know who don't swear by Mac or Apple.
I know. It's just.
And my daughter uses the Surface, and she uses the pen, and she creates a lot of her digital art that way. But she's just like you. She loves to sketch and then digitizes it as well. It's a very interesting technique, and it's just the digital just lets you take it in places that you couldn't necessarily. I guess you could, but it just opens up all these layers of dimensions that you could, and the fact you could use layers, right?
Layers and like
layers, right?
Adjusting things, or like you can make a new layer and like try something. If it doesn't work, you just delete it and you go back and it's wonderful. There's just so much you can do with it. So I really like both.
Do you ever dabble in animation at all? Or have you thought to?
I have. It's like usually just like small like animated GIFs and things like that. But I tend to be more like I love the comic format. I love storyboarding and things like of that nature. Just capturing moments is really cool.
Speaking of comics, I noticed that there was a teaser to a comic on your site, but I hit a brick wall with that one. So we're just wondering, is there a comic that you've done or working on? What's going on there?
There was one in progress. It was called The Dream Argument, and I had a website, thedreamargument.com. but my hosting ran out, and I was trying to switch it over to new hosting, and the old host ate all of my data. So I have to rebuild the entire site, and I haven't gotten around to doing that yet.
Okay. Hopefully you've got everything backed up though.
Oh yeah, I have all the pages. It would just be like I need to rebuild the site now, and it's a whole thing.
Well, you got to get it done because I'm invested.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, we got a fan, so I got to get that back up then.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. If you need services to help the website be rebuilt, Al and I can help.
Yeah. Well.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm currently working at a design firm, so
then
I do have a small edge. I do have a small edge there, so at least I'm not like completely in the dark. It's just kind of a pain in the butt. That's all.
I think she may have just what up you, Victor.
Yeah.
I was just saying get her. I was just simply saying get her done.
Get her done.
Yeah, no, you gotta get it pitter patter. We'll get on.
Figure it out.
Yeah. Figure it out. So I know you say you don't spend a lot of time on the set, but can you think of any fun stories of being on the set that you can share with us?
It's probably going to be like at the gym. That's probably one of the days that I remember the most. With the I don't know if you're there yet, but the rip and reps, the roids versus Ritz. Yeah. Just because how they ended up splicing that together was just so funny, because it was based on the fact that they kept messing up their lines because they were talking too fast. And you know, when you get to a certain point, your mouth is dry and like you're just kind of tripping over your words, and you just kind of keep making the same trip up. And that's kind of what was happening. And like we were just crying from laughing so hard, and like feeling so bad for like they were getting mad at themselves for the lines, but it ended up being way funnier.
Yeah.
What happened. So just kind of happy accidents like that are always just amazing.
Yeah. I imagine that has to happen a lot on this show. Like the dialogue is so heavy. Not when you say heavy, it's just so complicated. And just listening to it is hard to follow sometimes. I can't imagine trying to spit it out on camera in sequence. Like,
yeah, Playfair had to deliver all those lines with one of his ass cheeks out of his shorts there.
That's right.
I did.
I can't. Sorry, go ahead.
I watched it closely. Yes.
Yeah. Tanya had to pause it because she was missing some of the lines, I think.
Yeah, that's probably why. And I can't remember if Dylan just did that or if it was like a direction choice. It probably was a little bit of both. I think he probably did it, and Jacob was like, "Yeah, do that again."
Yeah, it was perfect
for no reason.
It was perfect,
and it was there for so long.
Yeah.
It was just there.
Funny.
Yeah. Just out there,
and there. My goodness.
And it's stuff like that. Like there's just a lot of people on the show are not shy. Like usually you'll get like closed sets and things like that. Because if it's a sensitive thing, you know, they usually try and limit who's on set.
Sure.
But for the most part, people are pretty open.
Like the Jared handstand in the shower scenes is probably a closed set, right?
I actually don't know. I'm actually not entirely sure. But kind of a funny story. I remember, and like sometimes I read the Reddit because it's very amusing, the Letterkenny Reddit.
Sure.
And there were people who thought that was a body double.
Oh yeah. Well.
And I'm like, why? Like, why would they mimic all of Jared's tattoos to make people believe it was Jared rather than just have Jared do it?
Well, it's funny because Jared comes off as such a private, kind of unassuming person. I mean, you hardly ever see him do any media or anything like that. And just for him to drop trow and get, you know, do a handstand in the shower. And yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's also running joke in a lot of the Reddit and Discord and stuff. People, I don't know if it's people making fun of newbies or not, but saying, did you know that Shorzy is Jared? And I mean, obviously it's the same person, but it's a good way to spot who the new fans are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you gotta figure it out eventually. It's just one of those things.
So when you're not working on Letterkenny or streaming Overwatch, what else? I mean, you already mentioned you work at a design firm. So you kind of do graphic design for that firm. What else do you do for fun? I know, I mean, video gaming, you've got an impressive set back there. We see that. And, tell us a little bit about what else you do for fun.
I mean, art and video games covers a lot of it. Before COVID was a thing, I actually was in roller derby for about 8 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
you have a whole art series that's dedicated to that.
I do, yeah, because a lot of people like wanted me to draw the roller derby personas. So there's it's basically in roller derby, you typically have a derby name instead of like your real name. So you come up with some kind of like persona that you kind of adopt on the track, and you just kind of feel like awesome and powerful. So a lot of people wanted me to draw their derby persona.
Well, what was your I mean, as soon as you started that, I'm like, what was your persona?
Yeah.
It was Wonder Woman.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love
cool.
it.
I loved that zebra, the guy in the zebra persona. That was crazy.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was one of the refs for sure.
Yeah.
We used to work with somebody who was a former roller derby
That's right.
athlete or I don't know. Enthusiast. Her I won't give her name, but her nickname was Ice Pick. So I don't know if you are familiar with anyone named Ice Pick.
I don't think so, but there's some good ones out there.
Yeah. Well, and how are you now? So you're familiar with the How Are You Now podcast, right?
Yeah.
With Dean Giles, his wife or partner Tiara. She's a former roller derby not performer, athlete.
Athlete, yes.
Competitor as well. Yeah. So there seems to be that Venn diagram again of wrestling fans, Letterkenny fans, and now roller derby fans are in there too. That third circle, and there's like an overlap in the middle there.
But
that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How do you find your? I mean, I'm always curious. Like, how do you find your way to roller derby? Like, what's the appeal? What like end up in Sudbury? Is it a big thing up in Sault Ste. Marie where you said you're from? Like, is there an active roller derby league up that way? Like, how did you find your way into that sport?
And what came first, the violence or the roller skating?
I don't know. I don't think I was never very good at sports growing up, so I don't know how I became good at roller derby. But essentially, a few people I knew were in roller derby. But and this is actually someone who was. Her name is Christina. She worked craft on Letterkenny for many years. But she's like an Amazon woman. Like she's tall and beautiful. And she's like, you have to come and watch this. And I went, and it was amazing. Like, it's so fun to watch. And she's like, you should play. I'm just like, I'm 5'3" and like 120 pounds. Like, I'll die. Like, I'll probably just like be murdered. And so I kept going to games, and then I started volunteering at games, like doing scorekeeping and this and that. And like, there's only so long you can do that before you just want to strap on a pair of skates and hit someone.
That's funny.
So yeah, I tried it, and I just never looked back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is great. So, okay. So you say keep score. So I know nothing about this. I mean, I've seen it on TV. Is it an actual competition though? Or is it like WWE? Is it like predetermined? How do you keep score?
How close in resemblance though is the TV stuff that we watch versus the real stuff?
Yeah, there's that too.
Most of the TVs, like Whip It, it's not quite like that, because that's definitely a little bit more over the top wrestling. And like, there are a lot, like, it's a high speed, like high contact kind of sport. So a lot of rules are surrounding like safety, because you want to be able to hit people, but you don't want to like hurt them, because no one really in the crowd likes to see an injury. Right. I've seen a compound fracture from a roller derby game, and I don't ever want to see that again.
Man. I can't imagine.
Rough day in the rink.
Yeah, just a little bit. That was RollerCon when I went to Vegas for roller derby convention, but basically, roller derby is a bit like hockey, except instead of a puck, you are the puck. So there's usually
especially
5
when
people.
You're 5'3", then you're.
Yeah, exactly. There's usually 5 people on the track from each team. 4 of them are blockers, and then one of them is the jammer. So the jammer is the one that can score points, and essentially you have to fight your way through the blockers of the enemy team to go around the track. Once you've broken through them once, when you come all the way around again, each blocker you pass by the hips, that's a point that you score.
Oh.
Like it's so specific by the hips.
And are people allowed to elbow you in the head as you're trying to pass it?
No. There's no clotheslining. There's no tripping. There's no like. You're not even allowed to hit someone like.
TV, right?
Yeah, that's what we see.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's very, very illegal. You would probably be ejected from an entire game for doing that. So would not recommend.
So it's not like hockey at all.
So how long was your roller derby career, or are you still doing it?
I mean, I would still be doing it if we could, but there's kind of a proximity issue with it.
Yeah,
like the most. The most we could do last year was just skate outside and it was just basically working out on the skates because we couldn't actually hit anybody because we couldn't get close enough to do anything like that. So
once the pandemic is kind of over, you'd go back.
I'd probably go back. Oh yeah, for sure.
Awesome. That's amazing. Speaking of injuries though, have you suffered any roller derby injuries or have you been pretty lucky so far?
I've been pretty lucky. I do have like a bum knee from, basically it wasn't even like the big hits that you see where you go flying. Those are fine. I've never been hurt by one of those.
But you have experienced them.
I have experienced them. Yes. I have almost flown into the crowd, on occasion. But this one that hurt, I actually just tripped and fell on my hands and knees. And then someone on my team kind of fell on top of me and pushed down. And I just felt my knee pop. Oh, and like everyone skated by and I was still on the ground and the ref was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No." He's just like, "Can you stand up?" I'm like, "No, probably not." Oh man. And he was like, "Okay." So they usually like once you're down for more than 20 seconds, they call off. It's a jam every you go around for 2 minutes unless a jammer the jammer can cancel it. Yeah, he just called it off. So that put me off. I think that was like a week before my wedding too. So that was not great.
Oh my gosh. So you have no fear. So you have no fear then.
I have one fear and it was that.
That's amazing.
Is it like hockey where do you have to pay to play in this league or do you get paid? How does that work?
You don't get paid. You definitely pay dues and that's to help, cover your practice space and helps, money towards like, because hosting a game costs money up front and you do make some money back. But yeah, I think it's like, it's no worse than a gym membership really. So
no, I can phrase that no worse than a gym membership.
Well, like in terms of costs, like right, I think a Good Life membership is like way more expensive than what I was paying for Derby, and I get way better workouts at roller derby. So
get a little aggression, daily aggression out as well, eh?
Oh, for sure. There's actually like a certain kind of personality that we tend, like graphic designers, nurses, and like PSWs tend to be like our top 3 like careers that I found in roller derby.
Tanya, you could have gone into roller derby.
There you go. Yep. PSW back in the day.
Yeah.
Just a lot of like frustration that you can't vent at work that you just need an outlet for.
Sure.
I think that's what it is.
Cosplay is also big amongst that group. Is that something that you've ever dabbled in or
not specifically. Like I've done costumes of like I did the I've done the Fifth Element, both of Leeloo Dallas's outfits from that movie. Just things like that, but anything like super hardcore.
All right. Well, when we announced that you were coming on, we had we put out feelers and questions for you from our Twitter DM group. So I've got a few here. This one from somebody you probably know. What do you mean it's not awesome? I think you might recognize the name.
Yeah, I might know that name a little bit.
Her question is, can I please buy a Who's a Good Beer poster? It's not in the web store, so who do I talk to make that happen? So please explain first what's the Who's a Good Beer and yes, maybe how can she get one?
So I think what she's referring to is the sort of retro style puppers with the golden lab that's sitting there and there's a hand coming down to pet the good boy. Which is like one of the first, I think, puppers posters that we put out there. And there's been quite a few since then. There's kind of a little pupper shrine in Modine's 3. So it is a good one. And I wish I had control over the merch, but I do not. So I can't I can't promise that there will be a poster that's available, but I can put it out there and see.
So that's a good point. There is a Letterkenny merchandise site that you can go to. What is it? Is it letterkenny.tv? Is that?
I think it's letterkenny.tv.
Yeah. Which I know Awesome knows about, but yeah, she's probably trying to get an inside track on her own,
You're gonna have to use your powers of influence.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can just tell Awesome to wait.
That's right.
Yeah. We can hope.
Yeah. Our friend Steven, some of these you already answered. What's her inspiration? How collaborative is it? Personal favorite episode. You've answered most of these questions. Does she sneak things into Letterkenny for family and friends, like subtle nods? And I think, Matt, you kind of already asked that. But so, is there anything you can, like, any Easter eggs you can kind of give us of something you might have maybe not snuck in, but because we don't want to get you in trouble, but that you might, yeah.
It's always been with permission. Mm-hmm. Like there was the one episode, I think it was one of the ones with Gay, where they're playing a retro style video game on the screen, and you actually like see it. Yeah. And obviously, we couldn't get permission from like Nintendo to use anything recognizable. So that was actually a video game that was created for like the Northern Ontario like gaming challenge, I think it was, by a friend of mine, and it was called the Frozen Dungeon Saga. Oh, so. Cool. I was like, oh, this is a retro looking video game. Would you guys mind if we used in Letterkenny? And they're like, well, obviously, yeah.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Great.
That's a good Easter egg for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it looked fantastic. So it really worked out well.
Another listener called Not Hannibal Lecter. She asks, is it weird to ask what make, model, and type of machinery Wayne owns and operates for science? And I had to ask her to clarify because I wasn't sure what she was meaning by that. She means the tractor. What is it? Is it large, imposing? And I want to get to know it better. Again, I'm not sure where she's going with that.
Oh my.
Do you know where she's going with that?
I'm not entirely sure. That's definitely a first.
Super specific.
I think I know where she's going with it. I just don't know how Dani would have it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Manufacturer of the tractor.
So maybe we can talk this way. The farm that they shoot most of the scenes in is a working farm, right? Apparently the oldest working farm in Sudbury. The tractor shed where they do some of those scenes. Is that all on the same farm? And is that that's just the tractor that's there, right? It's not like Letterkenny put a tractor there or has a John Deere deal with.
No, everything's already there. Mm-hmm. And it was a working farm. And then, the first few seasons they shot it in the actual house that's there. Mm-hmm. And then later we didn't want to keep, displacing the elderly couple that lived there. So it's a set now. So that's pretty cool. And I don't know if people have noticed that change, because the reproduction is honestly, it's wild. Like to have seen, in person and then like the set, it's extremely cool.
Interesting. So all those interior kitchen scenes are on a rebuilt set, but anything outdoors though is still at that farm though, right?
Yep. Anything outdoors is definitely still at the farm.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
But you can just let her know that it's a Dear John tractor.
I think maybe she just wanted to hear me squirm while asking that question.
I wish them many happinesses, I guess.
I think she's going to be our guest next week or in a couple of weeks. She's
have to dig a little deeper.
So we'll ask her then what she meant by that.
I definitely want to know elaborate the story there.
She's one of our patrons, so she's going to come on for season 2 of episode 5 to as one of our panelists. So we can ask her then what she meant. Maybe we'll have to have you back on to re-ask the question.
Just like it.
All right, it's time for our speed questions. These are meant to be just answered off the top of your head. Don't have to think about it. Just whatever comes to mind. You ready?
No pressure. No pressure. Okay, let's go.
They're easy. Here we go. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Tim's or Starbucks?
Ugh, neither.
Okay, so where would you get your coffee?
I just make it.
Oh yeah, so that's. Brittle Star. He said he was a more of a cafe guy because he lived in Stratford. So yeah, that's there's no wrong answer there. Cats or dogs? I know you've got a you have one of each, don't you?
I had a cat. She passed away last year.
Oh, sorry.
But definitely both.
Both. Or hedgehogs.
All three. All of the above. Anything animal, I pretty much like it.
So give a shout out to your hedgehog. What's his name again, or her name?
Her name's Sable.
Sable. And I mean,
how old is Sable?
She's less than a year because I only got her, I think, June last year. And she was a baby.
So a hedgehog's an interesting pet. You don't often hear a lot of people with hedgehogs. Why? Like, what was the idea there?
I follow a lot of hedgehogs on Instagram, which sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
You follow
I love your
hedgehogs?
honesty, Danny.
And they're just extremely cute. And like you said, they're kind of interesting. And we weren't ready to get another cat yet.
Oh, okay.
But I wanted something that would be kind of just chill on my lap while I do work. So
does it do anything? Like, can you teach it tricks? Teach her tricks? Sorry, I don't want to be disrespectful. Can you teach her tricks or something?
I don't think so.
Oh.
They're a very funny animal, and they're just kind of clumsy and nocturnal, and but just the facial expressions are super cute. And
they are cute. You know what? Our daughter's always wanted an animal, and unfortunately, Tanya's allergic to anything with fur. So I'm wondering, maybe a hedgehog. Maybe we should look at
Hedgehog isn't furry, is it?
They're furry.
Their bellies are furry. Their bellies are furry, but that's
Okay.
about it. I don't think you'd be allergic to it necessarily.
There you go. Let's go hedgehog.
Yeah.
But they're just genetically predisposed to just being round, right?
Yep, they're like like a spiky avocado, basically. I would say very pet depending on age.
So hedgehog is most comparable to something. It's a cage animal, then, is it? Or does she run?
Yep.
Or does she have run around of the house?
No, I can actually. There's her key. Yeah, so
she's got a playpen.
yeah, she's got a little playpen. I've recently upgraded. Initially, it was just a clear bin. That was like her starter package. It's just like a clear bin, and she's quite big now, so she needs a little bit more space. So we have this now.
God, I
But yeah,
love it.
basically a cage animal. Yeah, like, and they'll run on a wheel at night, and they're, like I said, they're nocturnal. They'll wake up if you kind of pull them out and handle them for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we had them in our house growing up, and they're more of a
Really?
badass version. Yeah, they're awesome. They're more of a badass version of a hamster. Like, they got the spikes on the back, they're pretty chill. They run on the wheel. They still drink. They do all the things hamsters do, but they have this really awesome spiky coat that you can you pet one way, only one way, and they're awesome. So I can confirm on that one.
Oh, interesting.
So they're still cuddly and everything. You still have
They can be, yeah.
bonding thing.
Yeah, as long as they need to be handled regularly. Like, you usually take them out like once a day and make sure that they know your scent and that you're a safe thing that's not going to eat them. And then, they get to be pretty adventurous. Some of them are really cuddly, and I think they're pretty awesome.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now,
Nice.
how accurate are the movies? Are they really, really fast?
Oh my gosh. You don't
Kind of,
Any
yeah,
video
not
games?
that fast. Not that fast, but
Sonic.
I'm just kidding. No, she's a gamer. She understands.
they do love to run. It's true.
Oh my.
All right, back to the speed questions. If your life was
Okay.
made into a movie, who would you want to play you?
Oh no. Elliot Page.
Oh,
Just throwing that out there.
Good one.
a dinner with anyone, dead or alive. Who would it be?
Oh man, these are so hard.
Oh,
I always blank on these.
Yeah.
Just say your cat.
Probably my cat. Let's say my cat.
There you go. From one cat lover to another. Your best vacation.
Hawaii.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to go to Hawaii. Was that your honeymoon, or was that just another? Yeah.
Yeah, that was our honeymoon. We snuck that in just before COVID happened.
Oh, lucky.
We went to Maui, and it was like the food was phenomenal. We did so many really cool things there. Would recommend.
That's it. First place, as soon as we can live again, I'm going to Hawaii.
You know what?
Heck yeah.
Travel, not live. You're still living. Come on.
Yeah, we're kind of living.
We're kind of living. We're
Living-ish.
You got to go up to Sudbury. I think things are much more open up there. Window or aisle seat?
Window.
Thank you.
Beer, wine, or liquor?
Wine.
Wine. Okay. And what color?
Red.
Oh, see, good choice. You don't do cold, refrigerated, or room temperature?
For wine?
Yeah, for red wine.
For red wine, room temperature.
That's the right answer. Well, I've heard. I asked this question to somebody else, and they
Some
said
people
chilled,
put,
and I'm like, no, that's
ice
wrong.
cubes in it. No,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
wrong.
Only white is chilled usually.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
Or that dessert wine.
yeah.
Ice-
The dessert ones are nice chilled. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Beer, wine, or I already said that one. Early bird or night owl? One job. Both.
Yeah.
If you can be someone else for a day, who would it be?
Ooh, that's super difficult. Like I said, I always blank on these because I'm not like super into celebrity culture.
No, well, it doesn't have to be a celebrity. It could be.
Could be a fictional character. Think about roller derby.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wonder
okay.
Woman.
Maybe it's Wonder Woman. Maybe you've already answered it.
Xena.
Ooh, let's go with Xena.
Oh,
I think I'd like to be Warrior Princess.
I love the Xena.
yeah. Tanya's favorite Xena. Awesome. Thank you very much, Dani. That was a lot of fun chatting with you today. Is there anything you'd like to, shed light on or promote anything like that you're working on, any projects or anything in general?
I mean, I guess my stream. I have been streaming kind of casually for the last like year and a bit. I mean, a lot of people have, I'm assuming because of COVID, it's just become, I don't know, a lot more, I wouldn't say a lot more popular, maybe a little bit more mainstream because people just like a community to hang out in and feel like they're interacting with other people right now. And I would concur with that because so many of my like even IRL friendships have become sort of like we get into Zoom calls like this and we play games online or we just chat and hang out. And so yeah, if you like Overwatch, if you like 90s tunes, artwork, hedgehogs, or I do tarot readings on Tuesdays. That's always fun.
Oh,
you can choose my stream.
Well, I mean,
are you actively taking commissions now? And you mentioned that earlier too.
I'm actually trying not to just because I'm doing so many different things. Like I basically work like 7-hour days and then I come home and I stream for 4 to 5 hours. So I'm like,
all right,
it's like working on a film again. It's like 16-hour days. It's just normal for me. So it's hard for me to take commissions right now. Maybe eventually, if people are cool with me drawing them on stream, that might be a potential two birds with one stone solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go.
Well, I mean, you've already got around 1,200 followers on stream. That's pretty good for something that's just casual.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I think I had like 600 a couple months ago, so it's kind of booming right now. It's kind of wild.
Oh, awesome. Do you guys have any other questions for Dani?
I have one. I mean, just back to the Letterkenny thing, and I've asked this to anyone associated with the show. I mean, you've been with it for 7 years, I think you said, 7 seasons you've been involved. And
since 20, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess it's a two-parter. A, did you ever expect Letterkenny, maybe you did, to become what it is? And what does it feel to be a part of something that, I mean, you've already called it out. It's already quickly becoming a cult following behind this show. It's expanded in the US. It's reached. We have listeners as far as Australia. Like it is spreading like wildfire because there's so much about the show that people are connecting with, the inclusivity of it and loving it. I mean, what does it feel to be a part of something like this?
I mean, it feels awesome. Like that's just straight up. It feels amazing. Like I definitely didn't expect it to get this big, even though like I could see obviously how funny it was, the value, how great the people are who make it. It's just so many things. And like you said, it's just like, it's got something about it that's so relatable, even though it's absolutely ridiculous in a lot of other ways. Just that small town thing that people just are like, I understand this, even though they're talking so fast that I have to watch it 4 or 5 times to get everything. And it's really cool. And I didn't really think, I think the real eye opener was the puppers launch for the actual like real beer. And there was a guy who came from, he came from somewhere in like the US. I think it was like Ohio. He drove all the way to Sudbury.
Wow.
To come to this bar to buy puppers and like meet the dad. You know what I mean? Like there was, and I'm just like,
That's hilarious.
like how? Like
Wow.
how did this happen? And then, you know, you just kind of notice it sort of snowball from there. And it was just absolutely wild.
That's fandom
awesome.
right there. That brings to mind another question actually that I have, because you live in Sudbury then, and that's where the show is shot. Are there, and because I made jokes about this early on in previous episodes, are there Letterkenny tours you can take if you went up to Sudbury, or is there, like, can you actually go around and see some of the sets, or is there anything organized like that, or not? Do you know?
No, like we don't really want to advertise where like things are shot, you know, because when we're shooting, we're there to work, and
Sure.
you know, we're really friendly to people who are like, 'cause sometimes we're outside, you know, like outside the dollar store, people are walking by, and like we're typically pretty friendly as long as people are respectful. But
Right.
you know, like we don't want to draw attention to that because at the end of the day, we are working.
Sure.
It can be pretty challenging to sort of have that balance of like boundaries with your own fans for things like that. And I think largely like people are pretty respectful. Like they get pretty excited, and
Sure.
and we understand that. But yeah, we do have to be really, really careful about that stuff.
Right. Because I mean, the farm, for example, it is a working farm. Is the gym a working gym? Is it an actual, like, when you guys aren't shooting in there, people are actually in there working out?
Yep. And that one's like pretty straightforward because like,
Yeah.
they just let us use their name, you know, like, so if you wanted to find it, I cannot stop you, but
Right.
I will not tell you where it is.
But for example, Modine's isn't an actual bar. It's just a set that you guys have, right?
That one is actually a bar, but it's not a working bar. I don't think at the moment. I mean, I don't know if any of them are super
nothing
open
right now. Yeah.
At the time, like we were allowed to leave a lot of stuff there between seasons sometimes. So I don't think that they're active.
Right. Interesting. Victor, did you have any other questions?
No, I just want to really thank you for coming on and being so open and genuine. And it was just a pleasure, learning about you and what you're doing. And I can't wait to show your art to my daughter, because I just think, again, it's fabulous, inspiring, and I'm also looking forward to having her listen to this podcast, because again, hearing others that have gone through it and are successful, I think it's just so important.
Yeah, and
Oh, thank you.
Victor was careful not to drop any F-bombs in this one, so he can.
I was actually going to ask that, because I tend to do that, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to err on the side of caution and not swear.
Oh, it's okay. We've used all the worst words you can think of on
Al was just using his lesser skilled humor tactics.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
In our weekly reviews, normally there's no holds barred. So.
You can't really judge Letterkenny without swearing. There's a lot, like, especially at the beginning with the ostrich and stuff. Like, there was a lot of crude things happening at times. So yeah.
It's no holds barred.
Yeah, I mean, I figured I wasn't going to offend anybody, but you never know what, like,
For sure.
what you're putting out as content.
Yeah.
What people like.
Well, we appreciate it.
In that case, I'll also get my son to listen and show him that people can have restraint if they want. So
we're teaching lessons.
Apparently,
that is always the parental goal.
Yeah.
It's always about the learning, right?
Well, now I want Dani back to do a rated R version, because I'm wondering what kind of potty mouth she'll have.
It's not too bad, but I mean, F-bombs are definitely, on the table.
Oh, fucking right there. All right. I'm going to... Dani, thank you again for taking some time and talking to us tonight. It was a lot of fun, and we learned a lot, and it was really great to have you. I hope you had a good time.
I had a great time, and thanks for inviting me. I mean, I know it's exciting to get actors in here and hearing their perspective, but it's always really nice to know that people, appreciate the background stuff too, and the stuff that we do, because we work really hard to make those little details. And it's really nice that people notice. So thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, and we completely appreciate the behind the scenes. Sometimes more than the actors. I mean, the actors do what they do; they're good at what they do. But we know what it is to have like all the work that goes in behind the scenes for some of these things. So thank you very much again. I'm going to play us off here with one of our favorite songs from one of our favorite episodes. This is Marie Tu pleurs. Get that one going here.
Oh, this is one of my favorites too.
Yeah. Let it marinate for a little bit.
All the songs from that episode were fire.
Oh, well, the music on this show in general is just so good. And that's all we have for this episode. Later this week, we'll have our regular Thirsty Thursday episode where we'll recap and review episode 4 of season 4, Letterkenny Talent Show. That's not right. We're reviewing episode 1 of season 5. We don't fight at weddings. That's what we're doing. I didn't update my notes.
Take
Apologies
2.
there. Please rate us on iTunes, but don't rate this one, please. If you like the show, if you'd like to support us, become a patron. There's a link to our Patreon on our site and Twitter profile at ProduceStandPod. We also invite you to visit our website, theproducestandpod.com, for episode recaps and a list of our favorite episodes. Thank you for joining us. We're now going to play some Overwatch with OW Grandma. Danny, where are the cheat codes? I need to start with 30 lives.
Oh God, I don't want to get banned.
On behalf of Danny, Victor, Tanya, and myself, have a good night.